What do we say?
Cilantro.
Cilantro. Not the
That's
same
something
thing.
different.
Not the same
That's
thing.
something.
What is cilantro? What did we just say?
Cilantro?
Yeah.
It's
Cheers.
basically to good health.
Hey, everybody. We've got a very fun episode for episode 26 of the Buffalo Community Podcast. And for legal reasons, it is 5 o'clock somewhere. But before we get started, you know the drill. I practiced a lot for that one.
Yeah, you nailed it.
This is the Buffalo Community Podcast, all about the greatest small town in the USA, the people in it, and how it all works together. Here are your hosts, Tyler Reese and Mark Benzer.
All right, episode 26. I look forward to all of our episodes, but this one should be especially fun.
Yeah. Why?
Yeah,
So-
why? I don't get it. I'm not,
We have with us today owner, brewmaster, husband to Johanna, father of two boys, Jet and Finn, Pugs Hayes. Thank you so much for cutting some time out for us and
not a problem. Thanks
swinging
for having
out.
me.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll go back here. Your roots are in the area, a 2000 graduate from Monticello High School.
Yep.
Why don't you kind of take us through maybe 2000 and how life has gone and how you ended up where you are today?
All right. I'll give you the short version.
Sure.
Yeah, graduated in 2000. I grew up in a restaurant setting. This is kind of where I always start. But my grandmother owned and operated a restaurant in Monticello for 40-some years. So my family worked at the restaurant. My mom worked at the restaurant. So I grew up in that setting, and so it was kind of ingrained in our DNA, food service or the service industry or whatever you want to call it. But out of high school, I didn't really know what I wanted to do, and I threw myself into business school. I did very poorly for the first quarter, and then I quit.
I kind of feel like that's a lot of people's track record. That was definitely mine too.
Yeah. It's just one of those things where I think when you're 18 and fresh out of high school, you kind of feel pressured to, get into some type of college or do something or whatever,
course.
And I think, unfortunately, a lot of kids that age find themselves struggling and, well, this isn't really what I want to do,
Sure.
But that's all part of it, that's part of the journey. And so I quit and then kind of worked some dead-end jobs. I became a certified welder, which was not a dead-end job. That was a way that I provided for my family for a long time. So I was a boiler maker, did that for 10 years. And then during that time, I decided, I really want to get back into school. I'm feeling like a little more mature.
Yep.
And by that time I was married and we had our first child, Jet. And so I wanted to go back and I wanted to finish what I started. And so I kind of threw myself into it again. But this time was different because it was on my dime. It wasn't on my parents, so I had to take it very serious. And I did, and I ended up graduating. And then I ended up going back for another year or something to get a major in entrepreneurship as well. So that's kind of where it started. And then during that schooling time, I got into homebrewing. I had always had this vision of, I want to do this restaurant. I want to follow in my grandmother's footsteps or my mom's footsteps or whatever and do something in that industry, but I just didn't really know how to do it. So business school was a really good platform for me to take all my assignments and really, put them towards something that I saw was realistic. So
Sure.
Even during school or during business school, I had Haye's Public House as this, it may have looked like this imaginary thing just because it was an assignment, but
Right.
to me it was a very realistic thing that I was working towards. So, I knew by the time I graduated that I'd be ahead of the game because I'd have a business plan already, not just for as an assignment, but for Haye's Public House. So it was something very real to me. But during that time, I got into home brewing with a good friend of mine, and then my world got changed, and like I tell everybody, my introductory to craft beer or beer in general was Guinness. I mean, that's my vice. I still love Guinness to this day.
Yeah.
It's,
Yep.
if I'm out at a pub or out whatever, I'm usually drinking Guinness. So
Well, that goes one of my questions here. If you could only have one more beer.
Guinness.
Guinness?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. So you started the home brew. How long did you do that before it really morphed into Haye's Public House?
I was home brewing for probably 7 years or so.
Sure.
Going back to those college years, not to make the story longer, but during that time, I was very, very fortunate, very blessed to have met some really cool people that were already in the industry. So I always had, I don't know who told me this back in the day, but it's always just stuck with me. But it's the saying, you want to be an artist, hang out with artists. You want to be a millionaire, hang out with millionaires. Surround yourself with like-minded people and people that have been there and done that and most people are willing to take you under their wing and show you, well, this is what I did.
Sure.
You can choose to do it the same way, or you can add your own flair and do something different, but this is how we did it. But it's all about passion, and I was very fortunate enough to become good friends with Kieran Folliard, who owned, at that time, was the Liffey, Kieran's Irish Pub, and then he had also owned Cooper, which was in St. Louis Park at that time. So yeah, he kind of took me under his wing, and he saw that I was very passionate, and he kind of mentored me in a way. So I was very blessed, very, very fortunate in that sense. So.
Now, craft beer is the phenomenon in the Midwest, especially Minnesota. It just exploded over the last, call it, 13, 14 years or so. I mean, and you were kind of a part of that initial wave. You've been doing this a long time, but it seems like there's always a new something.
Right. Yeah. It's crazy because a lot of people do look at it in waves. And I remember the first time my lawyer or whatever, he's very ingrained into the culture and the representing many Minnesota craft breweries, but he's like, you got in right at the right time because you really, Haye's Public House got in during that second wave.
Sure.
So like the first wave, we could say maybe like Harriet Brewing, which unfortunately they're no longer, but Dangerous Man, breweries like that are like classic staples in Minnesota, over that first wave. Summit obviously has been around forever, Surly, but yeah, Fulton, those were like some of those first waves or whatever, but then it really started changing. When Minnesota passed the law where you could sell your own handcrafted beer on site via tap room. I mean, things exploded, and so that's when the waves just like started coming in. We were very, very lucky to get in on that first or that second, that early stages of Minnesota craft beer.
So I guess I don't even remember that portion, but so initially the breweries were they were strictly basically you could sell it to go only.
Distribution, so basically manufacturing wholesalers, basically. So you could open up a brewery, but you had to distribute.
Sure.
You couldn't be, and there still is today. I mean, a lot of confusion. I mean, gray area in this industry. Most brewery owners will tell you, I mean, we live in the gray area because it's just fine lines of, where do we fit in? Are we service? Are we manufacturing? Are we Department of Health? Are we Department of Ag? I mean, for the most part, every single brewery, to my knowledge, in Minnesota is licensed through Department of Ag, just because we're malt-based, cereal-based, or whatever you want to call it. But we're manufacturers.
Cereal-based. I like
first,
that.
First and foremost, we are manufacturing.
Sure.
We're manufacturers. We make a product. So it's that's the hard thing when we got up and going. That this whole industry was still new. I mean, it was new to everybody. It was new to the state. It was new to Department of Health, Department of Ag. we
They're
don't
kind
know.
of making the book up as they go.
Correct. And I mean, they still do that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's just
Yeah.
Minnesota.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So
So now you started Haye's Public House. It's been kind of an iconic Buffalo spot for a while now. You're launching the rooftop deck, or it's pretty close. I saw some people up there last weekend.
yeah. Well, I do real quick. I have to plug Lorene Bodine because she's been absolutely amazing. I hope she never leaves because she's just been absolutely amazing.
And for people who don't know,
She is the city administrative assistant, but now has moved up, I believe, to
I think so.
yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, she's been my go-to person since day one. I remember, I'll never forget the first day I pitched the idea. I had this business plan, and I walked in there and she was probably thinking, who's this punk with these tattoos, blah, blah, blah. Or maybe not. Maybe she did. Maybe she was like, this is great. This is what we need. I mean, that was the atmosphere and the excitement that I saw. She was like, yes, finally we have somebody that's, younger and excited and has this passion. And, but on a business sense, it seems like he really has it together with business plan,
Yep.
And so, I mean, my first experience meeting with Lorene and even dealing with the city, my first experience has been, it's been amazing. City of Buffalo has been absolutely wonderful. I just want to get that out there because I know, like, through the years there's been some, well, I heard,
Yeah.
or,
Yeah.
Right.
I heard that, you had to fight to, no.
Yeah.
Honestly, I mean, I haven't had to really fight much for anything when it comes to dealing with the city. It's you ask, you jump through the small, tiny hoops and you do what needs to be done and good to go.
There you go.
It's like, so my experience has been great. I love being in Buffalo. I couldn't have made a better choice. I mean, yeah. I know a lot of people are thinking, well, you're from Monticello. Why didn't you set up in Monticello? But when I sat down with the city of Monticello, at that point, almost 7, 8 years ago. Actually, no, it would have been longer than that. It would have been like 14 or 15 years ago. They didn't really get the concept. I mean, craft beer was still new.
Sure.
And
Still a little bit weird.
yeah. I think their downtown area has always been a question mark of like where they're headed or what they want to do. And for Buffalo, it's just never been, my opinion, I feel like it's never really been a question of what they want to do with their downtown. They want a downtown. This is what we want to do. We want to grow the downtown. We're excited about downtown.
Yeah.
We care about our downtown. And so it was like a perfect fit for me.
And I think kudos to you too, because some of the stuff, and I'm sure we're getting our information from the same place, but you hear all the same things about, hey, why doesn't Buffalo have a grocery store downtown? Why doesn't Buffalo have? Somebody wanted a men's clothing store downtown. Why doesn't Buffalo? And they kind of, a lot of their frustration is pointed toward the city, when in reality these opportunities are there for anybody.
Right.
And to your point, put a plan together, come prepared, pitch it to the city, and open it.
Right.
Unless we want the city to own all of these businesses and run all
And
these
execute.
businesses, and then
Yeah.
execute it.
Yeah.
Right.
And
like going back to my early days of being, having Kieran Folliard as a mentor, he, little history, he then sold the pubs and got into Two Gingers Irish Whiskey and did that, made it statewide. I mean, it blew up, and then sold to Beam. And now he's doing another venture in like the farm to table food industry. So he's still in like doing, has his fingers in the food industry and just doing, just service industry or whatever.
Yep.
But
A bad cartoon picture there. Fingers in the food industry. Hope you washed your hands.
yeah, but I mean, something that stuck with me and I'll never forget. Those early days, I was just like, what about money? I was always concerned about like, where's the money? And he would always say, don't worry about the money. If you wake up every single day and you're passionate about what you want to do, money always follows.
Yep.
So I think with entrepreneurs, they have these ideas, but they're afraid to execute because they're so wrapped up in where do I get, the financial part for this.
Yeah.
But you really have to just wake up and keep moving forward. Like, don't, money, yeah, it's a big portion of it, but, I don't know. It's different in my story because just things kind of just fell in place, and for most entrepreneurs, if they keep moving forward, things just end up falling in place. But a lot of people,
Not to say that has been easy.
they quit before.
Yeah.
Right. No,
Yeah.
it is not, it has not
Yeah.
been easy. I mean, there's a lot of,
I think it's a huge misconception of what entrepreneurism is. It was like, well, I'm doing this stuff. Show me the money.
Right.
Well, no, you have to show up every day.
Yeah.
I mean, it's you actually have to do the work.
right. If there's one thing, like any advice I can give any entrepreneur out there, it's, or aspiring entrepreneur, it's, don't do it for the money. I mean, you have to do it for quality of life. If you absolutely cannot work for somebody and you don't want a boss, it's for you. It's not about money. I mean, money will eventually
Right.
follow,
Yeah.
hopefully.
Yeah. Right. Well, yeah. And I think, you use the term, things falling into place. And I think prior to that, you did a good job of explaining, like going back to time in college, how the wheels have been in motion, the work has been done. And I'm a pretty big believer that the harder you work, the luckier you get. And so it's not that, all the chips fell your way and then you got lucky and now you have a successful brewery. It's that, you worked hard and
Yeah.
I even hate to use the word lucky, but just kind of tying to the harder I work, the luckier I get.
Yeah. Well, it's just, that's the same, saying the harder you work, the more you get, So.
Well, let's maybe enjoy some of those fruits of that hard labor, and maybe go into the second part of our show here. That
would be a bugger.
As we're going to get started with some of the fruits of these labors, you brought 4 different crowlers with us.
Yep.
People might be familiar with growlers, which are the big jugs.
Correct. Yep.
That's what she said.
Wow.
But these are crawlers in the can, and you brought these nice little tasty Hayes Public House glasses. So what's our first up?
All right, so we're going to do one of our beers that's been with us since day one, since 2013. That's our Haye's Irish Stout. It's a staple. A pub without a stout doesn't exist.
Sure.
Not a pub. More
Nice.
like a dud.
Typically, we would have this on the traditional hand pull,
Sure.
or what we call a beer engine. But due to COVID, we were like, we should just start throwing this on draft and putting it in crawler so people can actually bring it home, because beer engine, or cask ale is what it's called, is carbonated a lot less. And so if we were to put it into a crowler, it would be flat. You probably wouldn't enjoy it at home as much.
So you can kind of give it a hard pour and not worry about it going over.
Yeah. So again, this is our Haye's Irish Stout. It is a what they call an Irish dry stout. So it's going to be a little drier, roastier, some coffee notes.
Smells a bit like coffee. Yep.
And what do we say? Slant?
Slancha.
Cilantro.
Slancha.
Not the
That's
same
something
thing.
different.
Not the same
That's
thing.
something.
What is what did we just say?
Slancha?
Yeah.
It's
Cheers.
basically to good health.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's Gaelic.
Gaelic.
And it's
to good
bad
health.
luck. If you say it, you have to drink. It's bad luck if you...
Cilantro.
That's
I like
yummy.
that. Yeah. I like that. It's a tasty stout. I like that.
It's 4.3%. So what we would call a session beer,
Sure.
or the Brits would call a session beer, meaning basically...
You can just drink it all day long.
Correct. Yeah. What would they would say? You can go. I'm going down to the pub for a session. A session meaning we stand at the bar and we chat and we drink.
Kind of like when we say, I'm going to the bar for a couple. Have a couple.
Yep.
The American version.
The American.
Well, you drink the McLarens, right?
Yeah.
It's a session beer. It's under 5%.
Is that that's the threshold? 5%?
Typically, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and in Ireland and in Britain, oh, well, don't quote me on England and Scotland, but I know in Ireland they get taxed different as far as their alcohol content.
Sure.
So, like in the States here, or I should only speak for Minnesota, but in Minnesota we get taxed differently. So, like in Ireland, they would get taxed the higher the alcohol content. So, when my wife and I were over there for 2 weeks, we couldn't find a beer that was over 5%.
Oh,
Because nobody wants to pay the extra
Right.
taxes.
Yeah.
You know, none of the breweries.
Sticking it to the man, one
Yeah.
percentage alcohol point at a time.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's tasty.
In Minnesota, we get, well, even in the States, I guess, we get taxed on like how much we produce, not like alcohol content, but
You don't have to answer this. We can totally cut it out. But is there some sort of check and balance on? Could somebody show up and test the alcohol content that you're advertising?
I would say
That's
no.
the gray area that the breweries operate in.
Yeah, I mean, I've never heard of an inspector like our Department of Ag inspector. I've never heard of her or them or whatever. Ours is a female. She's awesome, actually. But she's never.
Sure.
I don't even know if she would know how to. But what she does is she checks our brewery log sheets. So when we brew, when we get malt in, every single bag of malt has like lot numbers on them. So basically, it's all about traceability. So if something happens, if someone drinks your beer and they get sick, it'd be like, oh, that's batch whatever. I can go all the way back to my recipe, go all the way back to the manufacturer that, or the,
Sure.
the
And
malts-
blame it on them.
the malting companies or whatever, and say, hey, did you have rats in your malt or something?
Sure. Yeah.
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 Because we'll just offer that up right away.
Yeah.
You might want to check that, brah.
Yeah.
That's
That's
funny.
good. I can see why that would be a staple. That's easy.
Yeah.
If you got, I mean, I would imagine a huge part of your job and the people who serve your beers with you, it's an education. I mean, you're looking for, okay, I'm sure you hear it all the time. I like Coors Light. I don't like hoppy beers. I don't like. I mean, if I hear that, I'm kind of going, yeah, not as like light or lagery as a Coors, but just in terms of an easy drinking.
Yeah, I mean, that's how we distinguish ourselves, as a pub or a craft brewery and not a bar. I mean, I've cut many people off. They're like, oh, I really like your bar. We're not a bar.
Yeah.
And it sounds a little pretentious, but it
kind of goes with the whole craft beer.
it is. I mean, anyways. But I just want people to know that we're a different experience than a bar.
Yep.
And if it takes myself having to say,
Well,
we're not a bar.
Yeah.
then,
I don't blame
yeah,
you for that.
yeah.
I think there is a bar isn't in my head isn't the same.
No,
A bar
it's
is
much
different,
different,
than what
yeah.
you get at Hayes. So and it's hard to describe. I don't really know. It's just different.
Well,
and
I
I
say-
think you just have to experience it.
Yeah, and I say pub because we're going for that hardcore Irish, that culture of what a pub really is. If you want to talk about what the culture of a pub is, I mean, it's what makes it different than a bar. Like here in America, is that we have this like stigma or whatever you want to call it about not being family friendly. Bars it's not a place for kids.
Oh, my kids love your beer.
In Ireland.
I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding. They have never drinking your beer.
My kids have. Got to train them young.
Yeah.
But like in Britain or like in Ireland or whatever, it's the culture of a pub. I mean, it's a family thing.
Sure.
And so it's just different in that way. And that's why I try my best to not cut people off, but just give a little education. I mean, and education goes a long ways, especially in the craft beer industry. Like you're saying, it goes hand in hand. I mean, my workers, they tell people all the time, like they do a really, really good job of explaining, well, these are the malts we use, blah, blah, blah. Most of the time, unfortunately, the customers really aren't like, they're just there. They want to drink a beer and have
Right.
it.
I want something like Surly or something like Guinness or something like this. And
Which is an easy, and we don't mind that.
yeah.
But it's like, oh, yeah, then try our Irish Stout.
Right.
Want something like Guinness?
Do
this is
you
way
ever
better
get
than
someone
Guinness.
that just tries to like one up you on craftsmanship of the brewery, of being a brewmaster, just kind of really, really pretentious? Like,
Well, I don't even consider myself a brewmaster. I mean, I didn't go to school for it. I didn't do, like, what do they call them?
beer school?
Or like a internship.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I didn't do anything that. I made homebrew. Turned out really good. It seemed like.
Yeah.
And
You're a pub owner.
yeah, I was slanging growlers out of my trunk to workers. They'd slip me 20 here and there, which is illegal, but that's you gotta do what you gotta do to keep brewing. And back then the home brewing days, and they really liked it, so I was like, maybe I'm onto something here.
Yeah.
And it's something that can coincide with this Irish pub concept that I have and that
Cool.
I want to do. And it was like, okay, well, if I can just do beer and have an Irish pub, I'm taking food out of it. I'm not doing any food. I don't want
Sure.
to deal with that. I saw what my mom went through and
Yeah.
my grandma went through, and it's just restaurants are hard, man. And unfortunately, Buffalo doesn't have a very good track record when it comes to restaurants. I mean, they're here and it seems like they're gone.
Food trucks seem busy downtown. I
Yeah.
mean, your events. I mean, there's what I don't know, Crackling Rosie's, and then the barbecue one, and then
Yeah, ODB's, Bam. ODB's, she's awesome. Actually, today we have Gouda Q. We'll be out today at about 2:00, and we have music tonight as well. I don't know when this is going out.
Tomorrow.
this will be tomorrow. So we had music last night. and
we had music
this,
last night.
but you're not hard to find.
Right.
Something's going on pretty consistently at Hayes Public House.
Yeah. I mean, we do our best to do advertising. I don't put a lot of money in advertising just because it's just not what we're about. We're not a billboard. It doesn't fit our motif.
Yeah.
I like the idea of being kind of a hidden gem, but also,
You want people
it's
to pay you
not-
for beer.
right. It's not the best business choice. But, when we get people that come in, they're like, we didn't even know you were here. This is the best place ever.
Yeah.
We're coming back.
Yeah.
We've had people come in numerous times and they're like, this is the best place ever. We didn't even know you were here. I hope nobody else finds out.
Yeah, yeah,
Sure.
They want it all for
Yeah.
themselves.
Right. Yeah.
Like, it doesn't really work that way.
Yeah.
You don't want to turn it into the place that, we don't go there because it's too crowded, or nobody goes there anymore because it's too crowded.
Yeah.
I'm going to have more.
We
We can crack another one.
yeah.
All right.
What other ones here?
This one is going to be, this is one of our brand new beers. And it's a blood orange sour ale. So it's a
Sounds like
Berliner
my jam.
Weiss, was a traditional German beer, Berliner Weiss, and then it's infused with blood orange. It's 3.9%, which is pretty traditional to the style of low alcohol. And this one actually represents, we have something called, for the last year and a half, we've done something called the Working Class Series. What it is once a month or every other month or whatever, one of my workers gets to pick their own style and work on the recipe with myself, and then they get to come in and brew it with me and see the brewing process. They get to be part of the recipe process and all that stuff. So it's an educational thing as well, but it's also including them in on, the business. They get to feel like they're a part of
That's pretty cool.
something.
That's really
So,
cool.
Yeah.
I'll try that.
So yeah,
I'll-
Pacific Day Cruise. This is brand new. Actually, it just went on tap tomorrow, so 2 days ago.
I'll tell you, I'm always interested to try it. I think my mental blocker is blood orange. I don't know, but I'm going to try this.
I can
year.
almost promise you I'm going to like it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a little sweet, very tart.
Yeah.
It should be sour. So the way that we soured it actually
That is sour.
is we use Greek yogurt. Greek yogurt has live cultures like lactobacillus, and that's the bacteria that does the souring
Yeah.
for us. So
this is like a probiotic.
yes, it is.
This is
It'll make you
Sláinte.
gassy. It'll make you gassy. No.
Slancha. Slancha. Oh,
he said probiotic, and I was like, well, to health.
Yeah. So my worker Nicole, She's very, very proud of this.
She should be.
Yeah.
So
I'm not traditionally a sour fan. This is good. I like that.
very good summer beer. I know we're getting towards the end of this. Well, we got.
It's only mid-August.
Yeah, we're Minnesotans. We got summer till November.
Right, exactly.
And then a hard winter till July.
So true.
So as we're tasting these, it's good. Let's get to know you a little bit more. We've got a couple of questions as we're enjoying these. What's your least favorite thing about the craft brew phenomenon? Least favorite?
Oh, man. My least favorite thing I would have to say is, like we kind of touched base on it a little bit before, the pretentiousness.
Yeah.
Pretentiousness. I mean, yeah, we're in the business to make money, but at the same time, we most of us brewers, we can't forget our roots. Home brewing. Why did we start home brewing? Fun. And that's, it's still all about having fun and just doing some new things and just enjoying what we do. We get wrapped up, I think, too much into, the customers smelling and swooshing, and which I don't even know what. Half the time, I don't even know what some of those people are doing.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not a pro. I'm not a master brewer. I have fun and I try and make the best product.
What would be the term, like a wine sommelier or sommelier?
It's Cicerone.
A cicerone for a beer professional.
Yeah.
Yeah. I knew a few cicerones in my college days, but they only knew about Bud Light.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Going back to those early days again, it was like another Kieran quote was, "Don't ever take yourself too serious."
Yeah.
And I've kind of lived by that, and we have fun at the pub.
That's great.
And it works, and we try to make the best product that we can. I mean, we're serious about what we do, but also, it's fun. It's got to be. Otherwise, it's just work.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what's the point of that?
Yeah. That's not fun.
Right.
Don't like that. Don't like that.
Yeah. So.
Music is a big thing. I mean, down at the pub. And
Yeah.
so what is it, I guess, what was the first band or musician that you were really into? And are you still into that
Oh, man.
band or musician today?
Like growing up, I would say Neil Diamond. And yes, I'm still into Neil Diamond. Yeah, I took my mom actually I surprised my mom and took her to go see Neil Diamond. Well, my wife and I took her to go see Neil Diamond.
Nice.
It was a blast.
Nice.
So good. Yeah. I would say a lot of people would consider me like an old soul. Like I'm very old school rockabilly, old school country, 30s, 40s, big band, Glenn Miller, Tommy Dorsey, every day. That's because I like jazz.
Yeah.
So yeah, but that all changed, when you get into high school. It's not cool.
Right.
And then it becomes very cool again.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right. Once you figure out,
Yeah.
I'm not that person.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, well, at my high school days, man, 90s alternative,
Right.
Metallica, Megadeth, Iron Maiden,
Everybody lets those two
Ozfest!
go.
Yeah.
That's a natural progression.
Yeah.
Well, what about you? You asked the question.
The musician.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of I have older brothers, and so I think when you have older brothers, you tend to be heavily influenced by the bands that they're listening to, and so I got into Pearl Jam.
Oh, yeah,
sure.
In the mid '90s, there, and came out with was it 10?
Yep. Great album.
That is a sweet album. So they're not doing a ton anymore.
Yeah.
Of new music, I don't think, but I would say Pearl Jam, Blind Melon. I mean, just
Sure.
that whole mid '90s grunge, rock was I loved tuning that Pandora into the
My brother got me into. The tape is still lingering around the family somewhere. Europe. Europe Nation. Well, I think the album was called Nation or something like that. Final Countdown.
I like
Yep.
Yeah, I mean that tape has outlasted any of my newer CDs or anything.
tape.
Like
I
it's
love
Yeah.
tape. I
Tape.
love saying tape.
Yep, this is on tape. When tape hasn't been used in a long time.
B-side.
A long time.
But I think like I don't know. I've gotten back to my roots of just over the last 7 years of just doing the pub thing or whatever. I've met some really cool musicians and whatever, and that have influenced me to get back to what I was originally into. And so now I'm, just going back to my roots or whatever and playing a lot of old stuff. And, every Tuesday night, Jake, my employee, Jake, he does vinyl night. So we're getting back into vinyl and yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
So
Very cool. In the 3-hole, who's coming up next? What do we got? So we let off with the stout. Number 2 hitter was the
let's
blood
do
orange
the smoked hazy IPA.
smoked hazy IPA.
Well, you let me know. Do you want to keep drinking? Are you okay?
When do you have to open the pub?
Yeah.
I got a worker there.
Thanks, Jake.
Mel.
Mel, thank you, Mel.
We'll do the smoked hazy.
All right.
Have we ever gone 4 segments, Tyler? I mean, usually.
No, we haven't. I wish it was. All right, smoked hazy, IPA.
Yep.
Little background on this one.
Oh, we're recording. I didn't know we were recording.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. So, this is a oak smoked hazy IPA. So it's something new that we came up with. We want to do a smoked beer. We like keeping at least 1 or 2 smoked beers on. So people ask, well, how do you do the smoke? Is it like liquid smoke? No, because we don't want carcinogens in there. The malting companies will take the malted barley and they'll kiln it and they'll smoke it with different woods. So in this case, it was oak. We also have beechwood that we've used.
Sure.
There's other malting companies out there that do some really bizarre, really cool stuff like sage smoked or like, I don't know.
Sky's the limit on pretty much anything,
Yeah, nowadays.
whatever
yeah.
you can do.
Talk about another craze is we don't have to go down that path, but the Traeger and everything that's come with.
Yeah.
Everybody's smoking something these days.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
And we're back.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a new look for this is the smoked one. I'm gonna.
Yep. So this is our oak smoked hazy IPA, and we used obviously oak smoked wheat malt. Oak and beechwood have a lighter, kind of more delicate smoke to it than like you could use like a peated, which they use in like Scotch.
Sure.
Some Scotch. But that tends to be a little more harsh, a little more astringent, whereas beechwood and oak have a little more delicate notes. But we also used a hop that gives off some like really fruity, pineapple-y character to it too. So the idea behind it was like a smoked pineapple kind of character. But the smoke is very, very light.
What's funny is, as soon as you said smoked pineapple, it was as obvious as anything. My first sip, I didn't get. I got nothing for.
And I'm going to comment. Hopefully, it doesn't hurt your feelings too bad. I'm not a fan of this one, which that's why I like that they're tiny little cups.
Right. Yeah.
So you can go and taste everything that you've got there and not feel like you're pouring out a whole crowler of something.
Right.
I hope that doesn't
No,
offend
absolutely
you.
not. So, like, I actually like that when someone is honest, and that's how the industry should be. It shouldn't be like, the problem is that there's things out there that you can go and rate that now as, your personal, it's not my personal thing.
Sure.
But it affects overall, like experience of like, you may love it you know,
Right.
you don't like it.
I do like it.
Yeah.
But so is it bad or is
Right.
it good?
Yeah.
You know, that's the thing
Right.
with beer. I mean, it's subjective. So for someone to be able to go on like an app or something like that and rate it, you know, and affect like an overall rating, I mean, it's kind of subjective and it's just kind of, I don't know.
If it's just not your thing, I mean, it's
Yeah.
that's kind of my whole point on craft beer, because there's even IPAs. Like, I like IPAs, but there's some that I don't like, and then there's some that I love. But yeah, I was concerned. I was like, oh, I hope he doesn't bring one I don't like. But you know what?
No.
Try it, and we'll go from there.
Well, and that's the thing too, is like in this industry, you got to have thick skin.
Yeah.
Not everyone's going to like your product, and that's okay. I mean, we get home brewers that bring in beer for us to try all the time, and
Yeah.
Thanks, bro.
They don't always taste good, right?
I mean, I'm not going to be fake.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. You kind of. Thank you very much.
Then you can have some of that.
Appreciate that. Spill it all over. So, you know, I think we kind of covered my questions here. I don't know if, Mark, if you had a couple of other ones that maybe we want to go over.
Yeah, I mean, you talked a little bit, well, quite a bit about, you know, mentorship and Kieran, and but who's had the biggest impact on the person that you've become?
That's hard. I mean,
Without the obvious one of your wife.
well, honestly, I think
Unless
either
that's the answer.
I would honestly have to say my grandmother, Stella, and my mom and dad. They've, you know, those three have really instilled what it is to work hard for what you want. Yeah, I mean, just my ethics and my work ethics and my I don't know what you want to call it, but yeah, I would have to say definitely my grandma. And I remember working in the restaurant when I was, you know, just a young lad. And I remember after hours closing with my grandma, and I'd be mopping the floor. I mean, I learned how to mop floors when I was 9, 10 years old. You
Right.
know? And those memories are some of the best memories I got. You know?
Yeah, I think it's obvious. I would have said, I asked the question, I said, he's going to say his grandma or his mom. He's going to say his grandma or his mom. And then you did.
Yeah.
That's how smart I am.
There are some of the hard work. There,
Yeah.
my grandma was one of the most hardworking person, and my parents to this day are some of the most hardworking people I've ever met. I mean, they don't stop, you know. But that's just that mentality. I mean, that's how they grew up.
Yep.
They came from a generation where you worked. I mean, that's what you did. You
Is
didn't.
this what you did?
You didn't go to college. You worked.
Yeah.
Right.
What do you do after high school? Got married and we worked.
Yeah. Right.
$2 at the gas station, you know, pumping gas, you know. So
Might be a fun transitional question then. When you're not working, what are you doing in your free time? Or what do you do to waste time?
man, music, guitar, bass. I just recently picked up a 46 Chevy, so I'm into cars, old cars.
I just want a minivan, so we kind of have that.
It's
in
like we're
common.
best friends
Yeah,
now.
it's like, yeah. 46 Chevy, 2011 Chrysler Town and Country. We should hang out more.
Oh man, oh you're a Mopar freak. Ugh.
Not so much Mopar, but more minivan.
I don't know. You know, we do road trips and take the kids soccer, but yeah, now with COVID, there's no soccer. But
Sure. So touched a little bit on the rooftop, kind of in winding things down. Is the rooftop open? Are we full go on that? What else is happening, and where can people find you?
okay, so yeah, the rooftop is happening for sure. The deck is done. We're working on the bathroom now. And once that's done, we'll open it up. I don't have a timeline. I would say within the next 2-3 weeks.
A bathroom on top? What? That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so in the state of Minnesota, we have awesome state code. We get a max occupancy up there of 30 people without an elevator. That's code. and they're tying that new occupancy to our tap room, even though it's seasonal. That puts us in a different occupancy load, which we need another bathroom.
Sure.
Long story short.
Let's see if I can get this one right. I usually pick
Classic.
I usually pick the wrong laugh track or the applause or whatever.
Yeah, state of Minnesota regulation. Love it so much.
Everybody likes more regulation.
Yeah. So it's coming. It'll be this year yet. And again, going back to my dad, he's been the one that's really been building that. So it's going really quick, actually. So I don't.
Sure. I just want to kind of announce too, with the start of school coming up, and just teachers taking on a lot of extra work and a lot of things they didn't necessarily sign up for. I've actually started a tab down at the pub for school teachers to come down and grab a drink on me, and that'll go until funds expire. And so,
Nope. There we go. Not the laugh one.
So I would encourage, if you're a teacher, bring your teacher ID, come down and see Pugs, and see Jake, and have a beverage.
Yeah.
So,
What did we decide? Like $20 a person per visit or something like that?
Just take it easy.
Be respectful.
Be respectful.
I mean, there's a lot of people
Right.
in the service industry,
Yep.
first responders, firemen, firefighters, whatever
Yep.
you call it, EMT,
Yep.
yeah, whatever.
Yep. So
Nurses.
I'm not going to put a hard number on it, but
Yeah.
I'll let them use their best judgment.
Yeah, stop down, show your badge or ID, and have a beer on this gentleman right here.
Courtesy of Mark Benzer, Country Financial.
Don't do the laugh.
See, yeah, I got it that time. No, I said thank you, and I think good luck to everybody kind of starting this weird time in COVID. I mean,
Yep.
I'm glad we're not talking all about that during these episodes anymore, and I'm going to be excited when we don't have to talk about it anymore. But you know what? We're all in this together.
Yeah.
But thank you, Mark, and thank you, teachers. And
Yeah, and like being an entrepreneur, you got to learn how to adapt.
Yep,
And that's what we're learning how to do. So
name of the game.
yeah, you can find us www.hayespublichouse.com and all the great social media. We're out there. Sláinte.
Sláinte.
You don't have any more beer. That's bad luck.
Oh, ooh. That's bad luck if I don't drink it.
There we go. We're good now.
Okay, now
Sláinte.
Sláinte.
Wah, wah, wah.
I think we might have just recorded our